Arranged marriages, in my opinion, worked back in the day because girls were taught to be quiet. They were
Man,
taught.
listen, the feminists don't want to hear that,
I just
Christine. That's
listen. Yeah,
against
I
womanism.
always wanted to say like there's a good contrast episode to last.
Yeah, that's what I'm
episode,
saying.
for real.
They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear the woman need to be taught to be silent and to be submissive and be in the house barefoot, pregnant, and all them
That's
things.
what it is.
Not on
That's
this
what she's
side of this
saying.
world.
That's what she's saying. That's what it is on that
exactly
joint.
what it is, though. I can see how my grandmother was. My grandmother will never talk back to my grandfather. I've never seen an occasion where he's dead wrong, and she would sit silently until he come back and say, "Oh, but this is what happened here," and she's like, "Yeah," and like that's how situations would go. And she would have been the more like with my father's side of the thing, she would have been the one that was more educated and like in the field and everything, working in her field and everything. And he had to depend on her to get everything, but he was still the main, he was still the man, you know?
Wow.
And she wouldn't have spoken out of turn, regardless of the fact that she was aware that she is more educated. That she has
Christine,
a
they're
higher
going to
standard.
call you a pick-me in Western society.
In this society, yeah.
So I think it worked in that because no matter what guy came into your life, you knew to be quiet. You knew to do what you had to do. You had to do the things around the house. It was your responsibility to take care of the kids. The man would bring in the money, pay the bills, and that was the end of the story. Now, as I won't speak to the love aspect of it, how much like now, I think that depends on family to family. In mine, I've always seen it being like a professional arrangement, more so. We coexist because that's what you're supposed to do. That's you. The father has a role, the mother has a role. Everybody do their role. And then you go to sleep, and you do it again the next day, and that's how it's been. And so that's what I've would have grown up seeing a little bit of. But again, being exposed to the Western culture, I've become opinionated. I've become stubborn. I've become very selfish of what I want, who I want to be.
So has the West corrupted you? It's like,
Well, I'm still single, even though my parents have very, very adamantly tried. I have had multiple marital profiles created in my name. My uncle,
Whoa.
my grandma, my grandparents, a lot of them tried to bring in a lot of guys. I've had to talk to a bunch of them, and I would have turned off every last one of them that came my way because of who I am. It wasn't a purposeful thing, but I'm not about to be quiet and do this and do that. I'm like, it's a partnership.
Oh.
Like, if you in it to be with me, to have like all the modern and west, like I don't
so
have to-
Break right out the
I
tradition.
feel like I know why I feel like the guys of the management are red and the red pill society. So you saying that Western culture has made you more less
open-minded.
open-minded, but has made you less prone to getting married sooner because you want to be an independent woman.
Definitely. I don't think that if I was brought up in India that I would have been single at this time. I would have been married
You've
for
been married
sure
off already.
with at least my second kid on the way, which
Hmm.
is the story for most of the people that I would have graduated university with. They were married from the last year. Some of them married as early as last year of a 4-year career as a university student. Some of them are married from then, and most of them have like first or second kid by now.
So
Wow.
okay, Christine. So I like that you brought this conversation there because this sort of piggyback off of our last part,
Yeah.
and it piggybacks off a lot of things that is happening on the social, like in
In social media.
social
The
media and the different discussions.
Yeah.
So
social
you
hemisphere.
see it as a bad thing to be married early?
No, definitely not. If it is with the right person and if
Right.
you are comfortable with it and you know for yourself this is what you want for yourself, then marry at 18 and it doesn't matter.
Right.
So
But it'd have to be right for you.
okay, so you think okay, because I think it's always an inner conflict struggle to balance between especially for women today. Yeah, I want to be the independent woman and get my degree, get my own money, blah, 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 blah. But what they're now realizing is as the more I become more educated, the older I get, the more money I make, the smaller the dating pool becomes. And, or it's harder for me to maintain certain types of long-term relationships. So now everybody's like, well, you got to become more traditional and less masculine and more feminine and things like that. So you were somewhat like the good equator because it's like you from a culture where praises that
Strict
kind of woman, but then
traditions, right.
you've become more so the modern women, and you still have access to, hey, I can tell my dad if I want someone, he can find me one now. But the women in the West don't have that
She
privilege.
like, really? Like
No,
that
I
time
think
has been
again
gone by.
now
so-
something with my culture
Uh-huh.
is that there's an age limit to this.
That's
Yeah, so
right,
I heard
the
like
time
in
has gone by.
parts of Upper Asia as well.
Yes. So as long as the girl is up to 25, you can get married like that. There are guys lined up, it's fine. But 26 and up, you're almost considered too old. So now the men that you get are maybe they're divorced or maybe they're not as qualified because they believe that they don't have to be because the girl that they're marrying is no longer that age. You know
Prime.
what
Yeah, I
mean?
forget what they call them in Japan. I think the Forsakens or the something like
I don't think we have a name or anything,
Yeah.
but it's just the general outlook of how they look at girls like me
Wow.
at the age of 27 and still single or not married, and they would look at you like,
Past
you're
your
not
prime.
really,
Yeah, they say
you're like you're
your
past the
prime.
age. Like you would more so be suitable for somebody who's already divorced, or someone who's just like in the age and hasn't gotten married yet, and they want to marry.
And
So you
especially being so open-minded now, huh? Be like, you ain't been taught already.
yeah, you're not
So-
very traditional. You're not.
Right, you ain't as
You've been
traditional,
influenced
so-
by the West too much. I ain't like for those viewers out there. No, Justin is not going more in the manosphere type topics. I feel like if they
Yeah,
would
yeah,
watch
yeah,
this,
right,
I debunked a lot of things over the last couple parts. But this is great. So.